All right, the regular meeting is called to order at 7:01. The regular council agenda for June 15th, 2026 was accepted as presented. Who would like to make a motion? Councillor Mitchell. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go right into reports and we'll start with our CAO's report, the status report.
Yeah, so if there's any questions on the status report or on the capital report, please let me know. We're still gathering information on some of the updates from the last council meeting. Those will be on the agenda for September as well.
Okay, any questions? Not seeing any. The capital plan status, Tara, is there anything you wanted to highlight there?
Crews are busy, right? It's construction season, so all of the projects are being done. Bill will give a little bit more in his update as far as what they've been working on with the utilities.
Okay, and your monthly report.
Nothing specific to highlight. Lynn is just about done at Net and Quality of Life, so we met with Kim. We also celebrated Public Works Week, so thank you to those staff for all that they do. I also met with Melissa, so there's some great opportunities to partner with the Chamber, and the Chamber also has a lot of great things coming up with the Visitor Information Center staff, hoping to extend their hours with the events coming up that they would like to highlight. And then for information, there were some changes in the ministries. So FCSS is now under Arts, Culture, and Status for Women, so that's just an information item for council.
Okay. Any questions? And you completed your course 5. Congratulations. Okay, accounts payable. Is there anything you wanted to highlight, Clayton?
Nothing in particular. There was some larger invoices for capital work, the Westview Pond dredging, a good chunk of the dewatering project is also in there, and the service line repairs on 29th and 28th. So that's why you can see we've spent so much money in May.
Okay, any questions? Not seeing any. We'll go to your report there, Clayton. Was there anything you wanted to highlight?
I guess to offset all that money we spent, we do have tax money slowly coming in. We completed fire pay. We had a health center management committee meeting on June the 4th. The committee approved a facility condition assessment. So that'll get started here soon. We're working with our IT provider on an updated short-term renewal of our current agreement. Some community event permits were issued. And then the issues we saw at the library last year, we had that work completed just before the heavy rain and there was no leaks. So that was good news. And then today staff sat in on a demo for a new accounting/ERP system that could potentially replace Diamond. So we'll probably have a report for council in the fall because we got some more demos to do.
Okay. Any questions for Clayton? Not seeing any. This evening we have Bill joining us. Lots happening down at Public Works, Bill, and we want to hear it all. The good, the bad, smelly. Thanks for joining us tonight, Bill.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the good news. The sludge dewatering equipment is commissioned and operational, and it's been working as advertised. We've noticed the solids content within the wastewater sludge has decreased probably about 50% so far. So we're well on the way to where we should be. And with that has greatly improved the performance of our wastewater plant. I mean, the prime example is that was that major rain event we had, and the plant, it started to get backed up, but it handled it all and it's all passed through. So had this happened, a year ago, we would have been back where we were. So it's really encouraging to see that, and things are working as they should be. So that's been really positive, and it's by and large the project is done. So now with I don't want to call it bad news, but the news that's going along with that is as you alluded to, the dehydrating unit, I'm sorry, is also working. But with that is, when it's in operation, there's a certain odor that's emitted, as I'm sure you've all heard. So I guess the question is, how do we handle this going forward? I suppose we have three options. One is that we don't do anything. We continue using it as is, which I think you're all pretty aware it's not really an option. Option two is that we explore what there is out there for odor scrubbers, things like that, that can help neutralize that odor. Or number three is that we sell the dehydrated and just continue with sludge hauling the dewatered sludge. So right now we're dewatering more sludge than we would on, say, a normal basis, just trying to get caught up. So right now it's 2 to 3 bins a week. I don't know exactly what our regular kind of weekly sludge hauling will be once we're back to normal, but it'll definitely be less than that. So the cost that we're currently accruing with sludge hauling will decrease. But is that enough to say that the dehydrator is a failure? I don't know. I think time will tell once we get down to our manageable or normal solids content, then we can kind of see how it goes from there. But the dehydrated unit is on its own is taking a little bit longer to dehydrate sludge than was originally advertised. Again, maybe that's just because we're putting more through it than we originally thought. So it's still kind of a wait and see thing. But I think for the time being, just the complaints that were coming in, and rightfully so, I think we'll just leave the dehydrator off for the time being and just haul sludge, just the dewatered sludge, and leave it at that. And then once we're down to where we should be, then we can reevaluate and see where it goes from there. So the relining, the sewer main relining, that's all done. So that went well. No major issues with that section line. It was in okay shape, but considering the school is going to be feeding into that in the next year or two, then it's good to do it now while it isn't as busy and just less interruption. I don't know if you have any questions on anything so far or comments?
We'll start with Councillor Sopp.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor Hanley. Bill, I'm just curious, with the smell only happens when the dehydrator's in operation, correct?
Correct, yeah.
When you turn it on, how quick does it do its job? Like, does it start working immediately?
So
Or there's a buildup time?
think of it as a big convection oven is basically what it is. So, I mean, once you get the sludge over 100 degrees Celsius, when you have that evaporation that happens, so it'll cook it essentially. So you remove all the water from it and then you kill any pathogens that are in it. And it's only kind of the later stage of that when it's almost completely dry is when you get the odor emitted from it. So it'll run, to do a batch takes about 40 hours from start to finish. So it's that last approximately 10 hours or so is really when it starts to emit that odor. But that's when you really see the volume change in how much is in that dehydrator unit.
It's just about the complaints about the smell. And I'm just wondering, when you start the batch, can you stop it middle, restart it, or does it got to start from scratch each time?
Well, yeah, I mean, once it's started, you kind of have to keep it going or else it cools off. And then you just have to bring it back up to temperature again. So you don't really want to shut it off. And there's no real, if you're going to shut it off, then you might as well not even start it. You're burning natural gas to get it to that temperature. And then you have to get it to that point where it has to start to smell in order to have proper dehydration. Otherwise, there's no point in even starting it.
So if you know there's prevailing west wind going to happen for 3 days, you going to turn it on?
Okay, ask the golf course's opinion on that.
We might want to talk to the golf course
Oh.
about that.
Yeah.
Councillor Mitchell didn't hear that question.
It's south wind that we're looking
Yeah.
for. Councillor Miller.
I'm curious, Bill, with the relining, have you been able to determine whether or not the leakage that you were monitoring has reduced or eliminated, or any change to the leakage or the loss of water?
So when they cameraed the line before they lined it, there were a few small leaks. It certainly wasn't the smoking gun, but it did help. We've had, thanks to that rain event, the level sensors that we did install in the manholes, we did record some variances in certain manholes. The company is kind of sifting through the data and compiling it right now. On a lot of them, there's a lot of, call it noise in the data it's collecting. If you have low flows through it, you see a lot of fluctuation in the hydrograph for each one. So it's a little bit difficult to parse through all that data. So kind of leaving it in their expert hands to filter that out and put it into a more digestible format.
Do you expect at some point in the future you'll have more data for us?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. The project will end at the end of June. And once that's done, then they'll compile all the data and spit out a report for us.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Mitchell,
Yeah, back to the other thing.
dehydrator.
Once that product is the end of the process, what's left? And what are we doing with that?
So it's left with just a fine powder. It looks like fertilizer pellets,
Okay.
really. It's black fertilizer pellets. It could be used as such too. I mean, used as a soil amendment, things like that. I mean, it's rich in nitrogen, rich in phosphorus. It's been like all the pathogens that are killed. So if you obtain approval, you can use it as like a soil amendment, things like that. So it could have value. For the time being, though, we're just hauling it to landfill along with everything else because, I mean, we run it, as you know, on the weekend when we're not dewatering. So it gets dumped into the bin along with all the undehydrated sludge. So it's just, we're hauling it away. It's just less water. So
Yeah,
it's
so
not-
the tippage is less, and are you hauling less frequently, or are you getting more in a truck kind of thing?
more in a truck. That's
So
right.
it's less.
Yep.
I'm just trying to, this way everybody understands the economics of it, why we're
Mhm.
doing it.
Right.
So we've been hauling it anyway with this, without the DI unit, we're gonna have to just haul more often. Same place? Do we
Yep,
have to
that's
take it to
right.
a different place?
Still to the landfill for the
Okay.
time being. And we have this dewatered sludge that it is stackable. It's still 80% water. So there's still quite a bit in there. So, to take it from that 80% down to
Zero.
basically nothing,
Yeah.
there's a lot of water to still heat up in there and have evaporate off. So
Because obviously it's economically, it makes sense, and probably for the process. Especially if it's a product that can be used, which is fine if we don't have to landfill it.
right.
Are we looking at scrubber options?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Got the feelers out to see what there is.
Yeah, because there are, I'll let you, but in my experience, there are portable units, and especially if it's just for that last 10 hours. So it's not like we have to scrub it for the entire process. We just have to make sure that last little bit, when it's at its stinkiest, we're scrubbing that,
Mhm.
right? You don't have to have a scrubber on it from the start, from the time you start.
think so.
Probably the last 10 hours, like you said.
Yeah.
There's definitely units that they're truck mounted, you can pull it in, and just pulls it and scrubs it out.
Mhm.
So I'll let you work with that, but.
Sure. Yeah.
But as long as there might be an option here, it's just, to me, I don't want to see this equipment, and it is working.
Mhm.
And we might want to write a letter to the inventor of said unit, who apparently this is the first time they've used this in this application.
Correct.
So just let them know, just that if another town is thinking of doing this, there is a side effect of this. Just, it's the right thing to do, and we'll try to figure that out. But we can't have the smell, just so everybody knows,
No.
regardless of the wind.
Right. Yeah, as you said, there are definitely options out there. The first response I normally get is that it's not cheap, but I don't have an actual dollar amount to that. So, but you're right. The last little bit is really when it's the worst. It's just a matter of seeing what's out there and how we can plumb it into what's existing and go from there. But again, right now we're putting a lot more through it than in the future that we will on a normal day-to-day basis. So how much that will be in the future, it's still too early to tell. But I'm hoping within the next month or two that we'll get it down to where it should be, and then we can really have a better number as to what we're looking at for that.
And sorry, how often on an, would you be using it?
Basically, whenever the dehydrator would be filled. So right now, we're processing about 60 cubic meters of waste sludge per day through the dewatering unit, through the press. And that goes directly into the dehydrator. So right now, we're just going to use it as basically a glorified conveyor belt to pass it through the dehydrator without turning it on. Can we decrease that by a third, by more? Like I said, I'm not sure yet, but normally you're wasting about 1 to 2% of your kind of daily flow through your wastewater plant. And we do about 1,000 cubic meters a day. So somewhere between 10 to 20 cubic meters as opposed to 60 right now. So we could decrease the volume going through it quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bill. Any other questions for Bill at this time? Not seeing any, but yeah, we definitely gotta figure out what we're doing with that,
Right.
right? It just makes sense. We've come this far.
Right.
It's a vital tool that we've been wanting for years and needing for years, not wanting. It's been
Yeah.
a necessity. And so we've got to find a solution, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're almost there. Like I said, it's overall positive.
Yeah,
Definitely going in the
come
right
so
direction.
far.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
far. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And again, this last rain event was proof of that.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you for attending tonight. We really
Thanks, Pam.
appreciate all the work you and your team have been doing. And again, we have come so far. So I hope you're able to see that even
Yeah,
when you're in the
absolutely.
thick of it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. There's fewer sleepless nights.
I thanks again, Bill. Recreation, was there anything you wanted to highlight there, Tara? Pool's up and running?
Nothing specific. They're still working with the schools until the end of June, so a couple more weeks.
Okay. Any questions? And of course, everyone heard that Jordan Glass was recognized by the school for Jordan Glass and his team were recognized for all of the support they've been giving during the decanting, and it was just a really special for them for sure. So, okay, planning and development, Georgina.
Yeah, it's been a busy month. May, I should say, was a busy month. We are getting closer to the June 22nd committee of the whole for you guys next week, and we will have an actual draft area structure plan for you guys to read. Hoping to have that out a couple of days early, so you got extra time to go through it. It's an interesting document, so I think you'll enjoy it. And then our subdivision and development appeal board hearing was today. And it went like a hearing should. So, yeah, except unless there's any questions about anything permits wise. Okay, that's it for my report.
Any questions? Not seeing any. We've got Chief Dozeman. Oh, sorry, Councillor Miller.
I'm just curious about this D 1326 where there was a variance denied. Did that go through the MPC or? I'm somewhat confused. Maybe I wasn't involved, but an as-built garage and then a variance denied. It seems like a mouthful in. Like, what is that? Can I get an explanation?
Yes, so because garages are permitted uses, even though it was built before the permit application arrived at the town office.
Okay.
So it did go to MPC because there was a variance of 100% being requested.
Ooh.
So the MPC did not approve the variance and it had gone to appeal, and the appeal hearing was today. So we will know within 15 days what the decision of the SDAB is, and I'll report back to you guys next month on that.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was a connection there between SDAB and this. So I'll leave it as it is.
Thanks, Councillor Miller. All right, we've got Chief Dozeman who's joined us as well tonight. Would you like to speak to what's going on at the fire department? I know you guys had your big ball tournament last weekend and
Yeah, that was one of the things we'll be reporting back hopefully in July with some figures for you guys, just to let you know how our fundraising efforts turned out. So not a whole lot going on at the fire hall, other than our training nights, Thursday nights. We've been working on wildland firefighting and urban interface stuff. The committee has been meeting, looking into the design and getting some more solid figures for the new fire engine. So I'm hoping to have something for you guys here soon. It's been taking a little bit to hear from the builders and manufacturers. So, but they're chugging along. So, and that is about it.
does anyone have any questions for Chief Dozman? Not seeing any. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Okay, the peace officers report, was there anything you wanted to highlight there, Tara?
So the annual bike rodeo was in June and it was a great success. Thanks to Carlos, the school, and Sarah Lynn for all their work on that gathering. It gets bigger and better every year, so that's really great. Continuing with a lot of unsightly properties, notices going out, grass and weeds, obviously with the beginning of the year, and then focus on traffic control as well.
Any questions, Counselor Mitchell?
And I know it's complaint driven, any bylaw. But there's a couple alleys in town that you can't get through. Like literally 3/4 of the alley. But we don't, Carlos doesn't drive around looking for those alleys. So that's not a great way for him to spend his time. So it's basically based on the neighbors complaining.
He
Or-
does. So we do officer initiated investigations as well. And so that's part of the grass and weeds. And then I also did ask him to go through the alleys. And so he is
Okay.
going through. Shella is also aware, but if there is specific areas, please always let us know and then we can
Yeah, 'cause it's
direct
not-
them there.
It's not my alley, it's one of, oddly enough, a family member's alley. Which there's one, yeah, there's a family member in every street, so, okay, that, I just went by, okay.
Any other questions? Not seeing any, and then emergency management. Lots of training going on there.
Yeah, so Shella's busy keeping us all trained and everybody up to date. She also is doing quite a bit of work in the hazard response plan. Emergency preparedness week was also in May. She's noted that as well. So we'll work on session for next week, maybe or next year, maybe combine it with an open house or something to get more attendance with something like that. Yeah, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll go to council reports, and today we'll start with Counselor Shields.
Thank you. So May was a relatively busy month for some of the committees that I'm on. We had MPC and there were a few decisions there made. Grain Elevator is in full swing with their tours. They've are participating in 3 parades this year. So they just had Vulcan this past weekend. They've got a sip and paint night that they're going to do, I think 3 or 4 times throughout the season. They've got their first one happening on the 20th here this month. And then they had their first concert of the season on June 6th. So they're staying busy. Community Center seems to be in full swing with their wedding season and events, so they're staying busy. Chamber, Tara spoke a little bit on that. They've got lots of new interesting ideas coming forth. And then my regular council meetings, and then we had our strategic planning session, which was quite an experience for a first time. And that's so very interesting to see what people around town have to say and what council views as being important. So that was about all. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Shields. Counselor Strong.
Hey, probably one of the probably one of the highlights for me in May was the Alberta Southwest meeting. It was the AGM and it was held at Heritage Acres Farm, which I attended with Mayor Handley. And it's a really, really interesting place to go. Grief. And then the day after that, we had the ORSC AGM, and that was kind of the final until September. Regular council meetings and just some of my committee meetings, and that was about it.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Strong. Let's go to Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, attended all the regular council meetings, whatever I'm supposed to be at. Foothills Regional Service Commission, attended that one, all good. Library, all good. Golf course, everything's ticking along. We are, which is kind of cool, doing some collaborations with the Bomber. So we've already had 2 groups that they book tours, and then then they'll come out and have a lunch or something at the golf course. So last weekend, if you guys saw the post, we had the Corvette Club, which was very cool because there was 35 Corvettes in our parking lot, which was really neat. A couple weeks or about 3-4 weeks ago, we had a group from Red Deer Lake come down, same thing. And the Bomber and the golf course are kind of collaborating on how to cross promote and that kind of stuff, which I think is very cool. So it's been working pretty good. And I did have the subdivision appeal board today. So that was the extent of my month.
Thanks, Councillor Mitchell. Councillor Zopp, how was your month?
Quiet. None of the
I'll get you to turn your mic on.
The committees I'm on, none of them met, so just attended council meetings, committee of the whole meetings. And then also was at the Willow Creek Rural Crime Watch for their meeting. That was about it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Zopp. Councillor McMasters.
I also was not very busy this month. We had the Nat Quality of Life where we got to meet Kim, the new director. I was at MPC. And then this weekend I was talking to Kristen with Nat Minor Ball. They're having their coach pitch jamboree. So that is on Father's Day. I said I would volunteer, and she says she's going to make me do craft table. Like, well, I'm not very crafty, but I'm pretty bossy, so we'll see. But other than just normal meetings, that's pretty much it for me too.
Thank you. And Councillor Miller.
So I'm still getting back into the swing of things here, so apologies if it sounds like I'm not doing anything because I'm not doing much. So I've attended the council meetings, committee of the whole, but I think the most interesting and informative meeting I attended was the Nanton Health Clinic. And as Clayton alluded to earlier, I proposed a motion that we go ahead and seek out a business or a building assessment report, building condition assessment report, sorry, for the clinic, because our ulterior motive is that we're going to present that information to Alberta Health as our argument for either changing the lease or increasing the rent, or both. So I'm keen to have a condition assessment done on the building because it's old, it's tired, it's run down, the mechanical is old. And so what I've asked for in the condition assessment is a 25-year life cycle report to be included. I don't know if this consulting firm uses multidiscipline or not. I hope they do, that they don't send a structural engineer to do all of the work, but I would hope that they send one discipline each. Do we know that for sure? No, okay. I mean, to me, you can't have a structural engineer reviewing mechanical stuff. So I would hope that we have that information. It should be accurate. It will be accurate. And then it's something we can present to both to council, to the community, and to Alberta Health. Pretty sure they're not going to like it, but that's the intention, that we give them information that they understand what the condition of this building is in, and we understand what the condition of the building is in. So stay tuned for that. We have the proposal. It's been approved, as I understand, Clayton. Yes, we're gonna go ahead with it. So we should have something in a month or two to report back to council. That's about it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Miller, and we love having you back at council more often
Thanks.
and attending these committee meetings, especially the clinic committee where your perspective is so valuable. So it's nice to have you back. Okay, for myself, as Councillor Strong said, I attended the AGM with her, which is always a great event and a great way to network and hear what's going on in our region. Our MLA, Chelsea Petrovic, was also there, and within about the first 2 minutes, maybe even less, we were talking about the clinic. She knows that is very much top of mind and that question was coming up. And pretty much the next couple of days, we had the clinic meeting, as Councillor Miller had mentioned. For anybody new on council or anyone watching, these studies are paid from the clinic committee, which is from the lease money that's collected from AHS or primary care. So that's how these studies are funded. But I find right now the committee is trying several different approaches right now with this government. We now have a new minister of primary health, so we're focusing both on the lease aspect and the condition because they're asking for upgrades in the building. We're hesitant to spend any money, knowing that our goal for the last 3 years has been to build this clinic with no response or delays or yada, yada, yada. And so we are doing this study so that we can substantiate how bad this clinic is and the necessity of it, even though there are reports and they've all toured this clinic and they are all highly aware of the situation. Furthermore, I did end up talking to our MLA, Chelsea Petrovic, a couple of days after. She had a meeting with Minister Wright, and she said it was a positive meeting. They asked us to, again, send the package. And so I crafted an introductory letter that Tara helped me in the committee vetted. So it's going directly to Minister Wright. We are requesting a meeting within 30 days to get in front, because I think the situation is there's a lack of understanding about what the ask is, and given the changes, and it just seems to keep falling through the cracks and nobody's asking the questions, even though we've been there several times to present this to them. So anyways, that is where we're at politically with the clinic, and we plan to go pretty hard this summer with the minister. So the next thing we had was I attended the Foothills Regional Water Tap ceremony the other day. So Foothills County and Okotoks have officially activated their regional water line, which has been about 2 decades in the works, and it was a great day for them. And it was great talking with their public works about their process of the regional line and, where Netton could be fitting into the conversations when it comes to Foothills County and High River. I also met with several councillors one-on-one, just kind of as a check-in to see how things are going and how the first 7 months are, and just kind of a check-in. We also met with a resident talking about communication strategies, and we again kind of reaffirmed to our residents there's always that open opportunity. If they have ideas, we want to hear from them. Net and Quality of Life Foundation attended that and met the new director there, Kim. And Silver Willow Lodge, we also had a meeting. We have initial architectural plans for adding approximately 24 more rooms to the Silver Willow Lodge. Very initial But we are on a really good path with this architect and these consultants to kind of give us a framework for adding these rooms, which again, similar to the clinic, is desperately needed. Many of these rooms were constructed in the early 80s, do not meet today's modern needs, cannot even get wheelchairs through some of them. Yeah, all the things. So those are the conversations we're having there. I also attended the awards night at JT Foster and have been working closely with the Legion and the Bomber on their soon-to-be released Veterans Crosswalk, which is over by the Bomber Museum and the Community Center. And yeah, so it has been a month apparently. And then with that, we also, a reminder for council, we've got Committee of the Whole on June 22nd. So with that, move that all written reports as recorded on the agenda be received for information and filing. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor McMasters. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, the councillors all having read the minutes, there being no errors, omissions, or corrections, the minutes of the regular meeting of the Council of the Town of Denton held June 1st were accepted as carried. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Strong, all in favor? Motion carries. Request for decision on the Town of Denton strategic plan. Tara.
Yeah, so administration is recommending that council approve the proposed 2026 to 2029 strategic plan as prepared by Transitional Solutions Limited. This provides the strategic direction for the town of Nanton over the 3-year, 4-year term. So it was included in your package. If there's any questions or concerns on it, do you guys want to go through it a little bit more detail?
Everyone's had a chance to review it. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts, or are you prepared for this document to be released to the community? Again, this is a living document, but I think really it captures the essence of the bulk of our conversations and, of course, allows for room if we need to adjust accordingly. But I felt it hit the mark this time around, and it's
Yeah.
a document we can be proud of.
It's very well written, right? It's got the pillars and the strategic plans for council. It gives us as administration good direction as far as those goals and how we can achieve those goals, even making them measurable to council, where we are in the status of that. We will prepare for it to go public as well so that we're reporting back to council, but also the public is very aware of what that strategic plan is.
And for councillors, I know I spoke to a couple of you as well. This is a really good opportunity to bring this document to the committees that you're on, to the liaison roles that you carry, and, explain it to the boards that you're on about where council's focus is and see if they have any questions about it. But it's a great opportunity to help spread the word as well and get the communications around this. So keep that in mind as well. And in the summer, we're planning on doing a few farmers markets, and definitely, again, a really good opportunity to get the message out about our strategic goals. Okay, if there are no other questions, are we prepared to pass motion? Councillor Zopp, you have a question?
Yes, just in the objectives. I'm stuck on the odd word. I'm not suggesting changing it, I'm just stuck on it, but in the objectives, the very first one, to establish a current asset management plan. After all these years, we're going to establish one? I thought we were already working on this. We had things in place to some degree on it.
Which
Just
page
makes
are
it
you on?
sound like we're starting day one on this, and I didn't care for that. Very first page.
Page 7.
Page 7. Page 7, the first objective.
Yeah, so the town of Nanton does have an asset management policy. There's no plan, no strategy, no program following that. So basically what we do is we take that asset management policy and we implement a plan. With that comes that strategy and those procedures from there on how we're going to implement that. Does that include a GIS database? Does that include condition assessments? Does that include all of those sorts of things? And so from here, we will present council with a plan and a strategy. And once that's agreed upon and adopted by council, then we will sort of have that strategic direction in which way we're going to move forward with that. So policy is in place, not a specific plan or strategy.
I was under the impression that we were doing some of that already through not Diamond program, whatever you're using there. I thought we were already doing some of that.
As far as I'm aware, and Clayton can maybe speak to this a little bit, they did use citywide for some of the assessments, but that got to be very cumbersome and expensive of a system, quite a bit higher level than what was required at the time. So that was discontinued, I don't know how many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even more than that. So since that time, there has been no actual database done. That's not saying that they don't utilize the information that they have, because they do have spreadsheets and condition assessments. They've had infrastructure master plans. They've had, that streets and roads assessment that Shella presented earlier this year. So staff and administration have been using the data they have. There's just not a specific strategy or a centralized system moving forward. And so we always are looking at ways to implement and ways to improve on that system and gather all that information into one centralized database. But they have been utilizing the information that they've been collecting so far to manage those decisions on capital plans.
Thank you for that, Tara. Okay, the motion would read, the council approve the proposed 2026 to 2029 strategic plan as prepared by Transitional Solutions Limited to provide strategic direction for the town of Nanton over the 2026-2029 term. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Miller, all in favor? Motion carries. Request for decision of notice of intention to designate Danoon Meat Market. Imagine that's Georgina.
Yes, so this is our second application that we have received from the owner of the property requesting a historical designation for a bylaw to go forward. So the first step is for council to give its formal approval to go ahead with a notice of intention. And then that gives 60 days to prepare and bring back the designation bylaw for council's consideration. So we do recommend that you approve moving forward with the notice of intention for the Danoon Meat Market as a municipal historic resource, and the statement of significance is attached. If anyone's unfamiliar with the property, it's well written in the statement of significance.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Not seeing any. The council directed Councillor Miller.
Sorry, it's probably a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyhow. The photograph that you included of that building, there was a for sale sign out front. So I'm curious to know whether or not, if the building is sold, are the new owners going to be encumbered by this, whether they like it or not?
The current owner, the one that has applied for the designation, is, to my knowledge, not selling the building. So the owner that has approached us probably purchased it after that sign was up in the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
told you
without
dumb
telling you who
question.
the owner is, I'm
I got it.
suggesting that the current owner
got it.
is the owner of record and will be
Okay.
continuing that.
But when title does change, it is transferred to the new owner. It is part of this building now.
Yeah, so, I mean, we haven't got past our first milestone property yet, but the bylaw itself gets registered right on title, and it will stay with the lands and carry forward for all owners in future. So yes, they will be encumbered by it in that sense because the property has that designation right on it.
Okay. All right, the council direct administration pursuant to section 261 of the Historical Resource Act to notify the owner of Plan 43621 Block 4, Lot 22, also known as 2116 20th Street, Nanton, Alberta, of the town's intention to designate the Dunoon Meat Market as a municipal historic resource. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Shields, all in favor? Motion carries. Information brief on the privacy management framework, which looks amazing. It was so great to read and flowed just so brilliantly.
So when FOIP was repealed and the Access to Information Act and the Protection of Privacy Act was enacted last June 11th, 2025, under the Protection of Privacy Act, all public bodies had to create this new document, a privacy management framework. And there's a lot of detail within this document. Currently, I'm still working on it. We have a document, but it's a living document, and currently it's 26 pages. So instead of boring you with that, I did create you a small slideshow of kind of what goes into this privacy management framework. So hopefully you had a chance to take a look at it. I know we have a lot on the agenda for tonight, so I won't bore you too much. Was there any questions around this framework or the legislation?
Any questions around this? It was actually pretty straightforward in how it was presented, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of keep it streamlined. So you'll
Yeah.
probably see in July and August some changes to some bylaws that we currently have, the retention bylaw, some new policies, the AI policy, things like that, coming forward for you to approve. So there'll be more on this, but this is just kind of the surface of all of this and all of the legislation underneath. There's a lot of information that we have to do now.
Yeah, there really is, hey? Okay, any other questions? Just more to come and to be continued, but this was a really good start.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I've also reached out to the library and also going to talk to Nanton Quality of Life once Kim's settled in, because they're also public bodies that will need to have the same type of documents as well. So hopefully we can work together if they need any information on this, as I've taken all of the courses over the last few months on this.
Perfect. Thank you for this, Sarah Lynn. Request for decision on community organization property tax exemption, Canadian Grain Elevator Discovery Center.
Okay, so if council recalls, last fall, we presented the annual copter exemption listing that was approved for this tax year. The Canadian Grain Elevator Center was included in that, and along with it, a new property that was donated to them. However, the timing of that title change did not take place until late November. So when we approved the tax exemption, this particular property was not part of that. So we're coming back to you now. It's a little later than it should be, but the new property, tax roll 088600. I've got a little picture of it below. It's not part of the Grain Elevator site, but it is owned by the registered nonprofit and under copter regulations does meet the criteria. It's assessed at 39,000, meaning $410 in municipal taxes will be exempt. So this is a skinny piece of property just north of the old Ken's restaurant. And that was donated to the Grain Elevator Society.
Any questions? Not seeing any. The tax roll 088600, Block A, Plan 7811106 is approved for the tax exemption under copter for the 2026 year. Who would like to make the motion? Counselor Saab, all in favor? Motion carries. Request for decision on business recruitment incentive. I was happy to see this on the agenda. I know it's been a few years in discussion, so it's nice to see this come forward.
Been hanging around for a little bit.
It has, yeah.
Basically what we're bringing forward for decision, to really start the conversation is, a business incentive program to try and attract daytime firefighters. The intent or the purpose behind it is to educate businesses what that looks like and some of the expectations of the fire department when you become a volunteer firefighter. One of the challenges that we've had over the last long time is I think there's a misconception that once you become a volunteer firefighter that you live at the fire hall, and I think that deters a lot of the local business from allowing their employees to attend and be a member of the fire department. So a couple of the ideas that we've included for some discussion points is what that could potentially look like for the business, local business community, things like business license rebates or discounts, property tax discounts, except business promotion through our media platforms and those types of things. So one of the things that that was added to the list was the town of Coaldale and the efforts that they've made in 2020 to try and improve or incentivize businesses to allow their employees to respond to daytime things. So, and that's been included as well. So really, again, just to kind of start the conversation and see what council's desire is to have a look at this. I know it's been a while on the council report, so yeah, I'm glad to get this on the agenda too. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's open it up for discussion. Does anyone have any thoughts on what's presented, which approach we should consider for administration? Counselor Miller.
I like what Coaldale has done. I like that a lot, in fact, because to me, it gives both the employer and the firefighter incentive. But obviously my question is, can we afford that? And I'm looking at Clayton when I asked the question. It looks like it might be a costly venture for us if we go the route of what Coaldale did. I don't know how many firefighters we have, how many it would apply to, who the employers are, but the question for Chief Dozeman and for Clayton would be, can we afford it? Could we afford something like that? No sense us having a discussion about what we'd like to do if you come along after the fact and say, nope, can't afford it. We don't have that kind of money. So that's my question.
So just for information purposes, and obviously this is the very first step to kind of designing what it is that council wants to do with business recruitment incentives. So definitely things all things are available for conversation. We don't have a lot of figures because we weren't exactly sure where to start. There are a lot of ideas around how we can incentivize business to attract their employees. So again, very initial steps, but we're hoping that we can draw some information out of the conversation tonight to come back to council with a plan and what it's going to look like, costs, etc.
Well, personally, I'd like to see us have more dialogue with Coaldale to understand what they did, how they did it, how it's affecting their bottom line, and then bring that back to this council and tell us, here's what they're doing, here's what it cost us, what it cost them. And then I think we can have an intelligent conversation about, yeah, we can afford that, or no, we can't. Some of the other ideas that you've tabled here, to me, don't offer a whole lot of incentive for either the employers or the firefighters. So But I really do like what Coaldale is doing here. That, I mean, to me, that makes sense, but they've offered their businesses and their firefighters. So could we get more information on that for the next?
Yeah, so certainly, as Chief Desmond has said, this is just step one. They're getting the temperature of council. The resolution would be to draft an incentive program. So, if this is a route that council's supportive of, then administration can draft a plan for us to really work off of. And so they're just looking for what ideas make sense. They'll do the heavy lifting and come back to us with a more fulsome policy for us to adopt or amend to fit where we're at, but yes. So that's where we're at. Good.
Sure.
Okay. You're gonna turn your light off? Counselor Strong.
I was just wondering if we had any idea sort of what the success or what the results were down in Coaldale, how it turned out.
From what I understand, it's been a good program. They don't really have a lot of information, or I wasn't able to find any information really on how successful it was. I know Claresholm has a similar program that they've been working on or working with for the last 4 or 5 years, I think now, and talking to Chief White at the time, and now their interim chair, acting chief. Not a lot of information on that side of things either. I think honestly, it has a lot to do with how it's promoted, and the information and expectation of the fire department is kind of promoted through the towns. So I'm not sure what they've done in Claresholm or Coaldale as far as promoting the program, but I've heard that it works.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really stood out for me was the Tom Hornecker advertising. I thought we could really, I think a lot of businesses would appreciate that. And even if the signage included supporting our volunteer fire departments, so then it's broadcasted even further and it incentivizes other businesses to say, hey, what's this look like? But that one stood out for me in particular. Counselor Zopp, then McMasters.
Thank you. I'm not sure what you were referring to that administration should draft. I think we should get more information before we start drafting anything. The whole thing about, just an example, they all have some pluses and minuses to it. But businesses, you're going to give a business a discount for taxes because they got 1 or 2 employees on. So the employee quits. What are we going to do? Tell a business, mail back your taxes? So I see a flaw in that. So I'd just like more information before we draft anything to be deciding.
Well, and again, the draft document is meant to be a working document. It's to give us a bit more of a framework. This is just ideas and concepts for them to start the draft document. And then once we get that, we might have more questions at that time. But I would imagine the policy would include certain scenarios and, how many hours firefighters are working, that kind of thing. But we really don't have anything in front of us to work off of right now. And I think having that draft document is a good starting point. Councillor McMasters.
I just wonder, I think it's a fantastic idea. But I would think also, to Councillor Zopp, that the businesses would have certain steps and things that they would have to do as well, right? Like in order for them to qualify for their tax rebate or whatever we look at doing for them, which I would assume Coaldale did something like that with their businesses, because you're not gonna have a one-man show and then that guy just shutting down shop and going and still getting paid, like or having the business open just empty, right? Like, I would imagine that there would be something. So, and that would be what these guys would figure out for us, correct? Yeah.
I think one of the things too, we do have like the small business tax incentive that is lined out with, and there's a process to be able to apply for that and qualify for that. I think if it is council's will, that we can lean towards an application process for businesses in order to, like you had stated, Councillor Zopp, regarding employees, whether they come, they go. So again, it is, yeah, we're just in the very, very infant stages, but it's nice to hear back from council on what you guys think that program might look like, and then we can kind of build it out from there and then bring it back to you.
And to maybe Councillor Zopp's point, I wonder if it's how the business performed the year before and then they benefit in the following year. So that, you know, if their firefighters are no longer with them, it's not impacting that actual tax year. It's only reflective in the following year, depending on how many hours were interrupted and how many firefighters were involved in that, rather than having to project or consider.
Yeah, it's retroactive.
Exactly. Sorry, Counselor Mitchell. Thank you for that point, Counselor Mitchell. Anybody else? So what I'm hearing is there is interest. I think let's get a drafted document started. We'll need a motion as such that we can get that ball rolling. And what we're hearing from council as well is we'll want a lot of information to see what those implications could look like while we consider the draft document. That council direct the chief administrative officer to develop a draft incentive program policy in collaboration with the fire chief to encourage local employers to support volunteer firefighters and improve daytime emergency response capacity within the committee. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor McMasters? All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Councillor Desmond. That was a slip. Didn't even notice this time. Thank you, Chief Desmond. All right, correspondence. Calgary Regional Airshed Zone Society 2025 financial statements, economic development developers Alberta training for elected officials. If you guys recall, this was what Ursula had mentioned in her presentation. And I imagine you'll want numbers for that soon, Tara. Sorry, for the EDO training in Okotoks. Yeah. And then Government of Alberta Investment Data Hub. Okay, at this point in time, it was moved at 8:04 to hold closed confidential session pursuant to Section 1972 of the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, Chapter M26, and the Access to Information Act, ATIA, as follows. 7.1 RCMP Delegation, ATIA, Section 26, Disclosure Harmful to Intergovernmental Relations, and Section 29, Advice from Officials. Item 7.2, Chief Administrative Officer, CAO Evaluation, ATIA Section 22, Confidential Evaluations carried. Who'd like to make the motion to go into closed? Councillor Mitchell, all in favor? Motion carries.